come here and talk to your dad. Greetings and hello there, everyone. It's me, your Star Wars dad, Nooch. Too good. I'm here with another dad talk today. We're talking to Godeskian, and he just goes by Gode. So, Gode, say hello to the folks.
Hello, folks. This is Godeskian here.
Now, this guy is interesting because I was talking to him when I came out with the Leviathan video about is Leviathan going to be free to play. He mentioned that he was a free to play player and was planning to unlock Leviathan on day one. And so I wanted to have a good conversation here because it looks like now, Godeskian, based on stats, it looks like you've been playing just under 4 years. Is that right?
Yes, but there was a half year or so where I had an issue with my guild and quit and then came back and found a new guild. But yeah, about that.
Okay. Now, so I guess that's a pretty big question for me. And let's take a look at your roster here. You're in Kyber 4, you got Profanity, and now you're at 8 million. 8 million, you have... Let's see here, because we're going to get pushback. And I'm going to need you to explain. You have Executor 7 stars, you got Profanity 7 stars. If I look at your roster at 8 million, there is certainly a bunch of stuff here at the bottom that's just kind of left on the scrap heap. But how do you get a Galactic Legend, a Relic 5 Ugnaught too? How do you get a Galactic Legend, and how... Screamer Kylo Ren, Relic 8, General Skywalker, the 2 capital ships, and you're telling me that you're going to have Leviathan on day one and it's all free to play. I think people give us an explanation for that so people can learn and or be satisfied, possibly.
There's basically 3 aspects to it from my perspective. The first is that I only put gear or relics on things if I have a specific active need for it. You mentioned my Ugnaught. That's a Rise of the Empire platoon requirement, which is why that's at Relic 5, because we need them for platoons, and the platoons are the best bang for your buck in terms of relics to points for Rise of the Empire. The second thing is that I only upgrade things when I'm ready to upgrade the whole thing. And the third is I am the absolute king of fleet, because that's where the most reliable crystal income in the whole game is. You might get more in GAC if you're really good at it, but the way the matchmaking works is you're eventually going to not hit a wall per se, but you're certainly going to start losing matches as well as winning them. If you're good with fleet, you can get 400 crystals every day, 12,000 crystals a month, and that adds up. I mean, that has fueled literally the entire growth of my account since I started playing.
So let's talk about that. So you started about 4 years ago, and there was no executor at the time. So what did you do to get to the top of fleet, and how have you stayed there? Did you unlock executor on day one?
I did not. I unlocked executor on the second time it came around on month 2, and I maxed it out over the course of the next 2 months. But the big trick is that I have spent far more time than I should studying fleet counters. When everyone else was rolling with Negotiator, for instance, or Malevolence, I was still running an Akbar fleet, which could beat both of those consistently. Sure, that meant I had to put relics on characters that people don't like putting relics on, like Biston, Scarif Rebel Pathfinder, the Phoenix team, but it meant that I could save all of the relic materials and gear that I would have had to spend on a Malevolence or a Negotiator fleet, and I was able to keep my very first fleet counter all the way through until I unlocked Executor.
So the primary focus of your account, and I see your Relic 6 and Relic 5 Biston and Pathfinder, and that was something I started early on that I kind of abandoned on my free-to-play account, but I mean, I see it on here. You got Sabine, Relic 7, you got your Rebels all decked out, and Raven's Claw in there with Kyle Katarn. So you had just been fleet-heavy, just like absolute focused on fleet from the first day you came into, and were fleet... We still had Squad Arena crystals at the time that you're talking about, right?
Yeah,
when you first started in the game, is that right?
When I started, we still had a 5-man starting fleet, if I recall correctly.
Okay.
It was either just before or just after the Fleet 2.0 turnover. But the problem is that in the shard I was in, the ground team arena, the character arena, was very, very competitive. The fleet shard for me was not competitive.
Okay.
Which meant that once I started to realize how much easier it was to climb in fleet with less effort, I figured it was worth focusing more of my effort there because I could take a high rank in fleet and keep it there. Now, as long as I kept up with fleet, I would be able to get those 400 crystals every day, and I could use those crystals to fuel other things, because it's the universal currency of the game.
Yeah, and I think it's possible. We know that my free-to-play account is under 30 months in, and I'm at 5.3 million. So if you look at you somewhere in the range of 48 months in, I wonder if I can make it to where you are. But you're talking about maxing crystals every day in Fleet Arena, and you mentioned that you had Executor 7-starred, the second or third time through. So that means you saved up 10,000 crystals in between each of those events, right?
Sure, and that's because because the Executor event came out once a month, and like I said, I was making 12,000 crystals a month just in Fleet Arena. I was making some in GAC, some from territory battles, and daily crystal gain from your dailies and stuff like that. But what I basically decided was that since I had to have Executor, and I wanted it at max stars as quickly as possible, that I just stopped spending crystals on anything except, I think, for my Cantina refreshes. Which meant I was making somewhere between 600 and 700 crystals a day from Fleet, Arena, and dailies, and I was only spending 400 crystals a day saved, 30 days, 12,000 crystals. You can max out a capital ship in 2 months.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes a lot of sense.
And the penalty for that was that because of when it happened, I had to basically set everything else aside. There was the only conquest run, for instance, where I didn't max out the character because I didn't have the crystals to pay for conquest refreshes.
Right. And who was that?
Dad bought Boba, so, not the end of the world.
I think you'll be all right.
But that's the other thing. Because I'm free to play, I know that I can't get everything, and I especially can't get everything new. You'll note I only have the one Galactic Legend in Supreme Leader Kylo Ren. I don't even have Jedi Knight Luke unlocked at the moment. Because I had to make very specific choices as to what I wanted to unlock and what I didn't want to unlock. And there was no real room for error, which is where my love of spreadsheets comes in, because I simply have a gigantic set of spreadsheets which tell me what I have, what I need, where I can farm the best things, where I can farm the fastest relic mats, where I can buy the best gear from raid rewards, which shops I can buy it in, and all of it is matched up to what it would cost me if I just spent crystals on it.
Right.
For instance, at the moment, I'm expecting to have Leviathan unlocked on day one, but I still need 122 Electrium conductors, amongst a few other bits, which is currently the big bottleneck. But I have enough crystals stored up, because I don't spend them unless I need to, that if it comes down to day 0 and I still don't have them, I can literally just buy the remaining conductors that I need.
So basically what you did was you started a free-to-play account 4 years ago or so, and you just said, we're going to go all in fleets from day one, because when you looked at your squad arena at the time, there were crystals in squad arena, but there was just no chance to succeed in there, but you had a chance to succeed in fleet. So you focused on the fleet, and then everything kind of converted to fleet, and that played right into your hands. And then ever since then, it's just been a matter of sacrificing parts of your farm. Actually, if you look at your crystal sacrifice, you probably could have 3 or 4 Galactic Legends right now, but you sacrifice them for the fleets, and that's where you are today. So that's how you're going to be able to unlock Leviathan on day one. Exactly. That sound accurate?
That's pretty much accurate, because what does an extra 3... Suppose I'd gone for the 3 extra Galactic Legends instead of the fleet stuff. What would that get me in resources? What extra resources would I be earning in-game to justify that expense?
Right. Let's talk about this. So you're in Kyber 4. How do you work that? Because you got 1 Galactic Legend. I can't imagine there's anybody else with 1 Galactic Legend in Kyber 4. So you're Kyber 4, no. And what do you just throw your 2 big fleets in the back and let them and watch them hold, or how do you do that?
Oh no, I do much nastier than that. I put Executor, Malevolence, and Negotiator on fleet defense, and I put whatever I have that I don't think I'm going to need in terms of character defense on defense. I put down garbage character defense because against the average accounts I'm facing, nothing I can put down meaningfully is going to stop it. I'm relying on getting the full clear every time and denying them the full clear because most people I fight cannot beat a negotiator, a malevolence, and an executor. They just can't do it.
And then you go in with your home one and your home one profundity. So you can't use home one and profundity.
You can actually. Gerbil, I don't know if you're familiar with YouTuber Gerbil, has a whole video series on how to split the two up to get effectively 2 fleet killers out of it. But no, the reality is that I use my profundity to counter their executor or their profundity, because I don't think I've ever seen anyone put both on defense. I use my chimera to kill their negotiator or whatever other rebel they've put in place, and I use my first order to kill whatever their third fleet is. And I have a first order fleet that can comfortably kill an executor, so if I do run into somebody who has both executor and profundity on defense thinking that'll hold, I will splat them both.
Yeah, I can see the finalizer. I saw that. So did you unlock TIE Interceptor at 7 stars? No, I'm sorry, that's Conquest. TIE Defender, it looks like you got it at 6 stars. So you didn't max out crystals on TIE Defender or the other ships. Well, no, you must have done it. So let's talk about these Sith ships. So TIE Dorito, B-20. So you're going through 200 crystal refreshes on these, right?
Oh yeah, I'm burning 1,250 crystals a day on the Galactic Chasers until I unlock it at 7 star.
Okay. It's just priorities, right? So you're not doing anything else then, are you?
Nope, I am farming signal mats and I am chasing the ships I need for Leviathan, and that's it. That's everything I'm spending crystals on.
Wow. Uh-oh, Leia's making herself known here. Sorry, my puppy's been restless. You can't see it, but she's super restless right now, ready to get out. But my wife is in the shower, so you get to stay in the room with me, Leia.
And the thing I think is important here is, and this is interesting enough also a guild-related issue in my mind, is that I have been incredibly lucky that I've been in a guild that asks people to do their best, but doesn't require them to farm anything specific.
Yeah.
Nobody minds that I sit here and tinker with my fleets for 6 months out of the year, because first of all, I contribute those fleets to things like territory wars and to Rise of the Empire, but also because there are enough people who don't care about fleets that I help balance them out.
Yeah.
And I think that's an important part of it, because if I was in a guild that said, Freight Raid comes out, you have to farm Jabba, Hutt Cartel, and Mandalorians, I wouldn't be able to build the kind of account that I have and build the kind of fleets that I have.
Yeah, my guild's the same way. We're around 300 million, maybe a little above right now, and we don't require farms. We have asked people, we've asked for volunteers to go get the Rise of the Empire, characters at 5, Relic 5, 6, 7, like you've got Ugnaught in there. We've had people volunteer to do that, but we don't require anything of anybody. And sure, we probably are missing out on some Reva shards. In the meantime, it looks like you've actually got your Inquisitors up to snuff.
I mean, as soon as Grand Inquisitor comes out, yeah.
So what galactic power is your guild at?
367, I think.
Okay. So did you have contacts in the game that got you into there? Or how did that come about?
Yeah, it's funny actually. After I came back from my hiatus, this was long enough ago that at the time I left, Geonosian Brood Alpha wasn't out yet, Padme wasn't out yet, there were no Galactic Legends in the game, and then I came back and suddenly there were these Galactic Legends, and I'm like, I'm still running with Jedi Training Rey as my arena team.
Yeah.
No one's going to want to have me. So I figured I'm just going to have to find a guild that will take me. I'll promise to do my 600 a day for tickets, and I'll just have to try and build something like that. And I came across this advert for a guild called Saviors of Ren, and I messaged them, and the guy in charge and I clicked instantly, and I've been with them ever since, and I suspect I will be with them until I quit the game.
That's awesome. You're with Saviors of Ren. I had the exact same experience with Knights of Ren. So, yeah, we're in a very similar named guild. Well, let me ask you. I think this is tremendous. I think this is really, and you can really see how you've dialed in on your farming and how it makes a lot of sense. And I really think that probably that foundation you set early on really did matter when you came back to the game, right?
Yeah, I mean, when I came back to the game, the fleet meta had shifted. There was now negotiators and malevolences, and we were doing okay as a guild, but we weren't exactly going to get me either one of those in a hurry. So I started researching. Could I beat either of those fleets with any of the fleets I had? And I found a way using the fleet Discord server. I talked to people in there, and they helped me dial in a build for Akbar that could beat Negotiator. So I built that fleet. I spent 4 or 5 months building and relicking up all of these characters. And I tell you, Scarif Rebel Pathfinder, at the time, Carbantes were the big bottleneck. He needs as many as General Kenobi did. He's awful.
Yeah, it's not. I mean, he's a tank, so that makes sense.
Yeah, but I eventually built this fleet that could beat negotiators. And then I just sat there and I fought negotiators and malevolences every day. I learned every single tick of my fleet, every move to make, every counter move, and I got to a point where I could still hang in fleet despite having what was at the time considered a B-tier team. I could still get to first every day. And again, as soon as you hit that first, even just for a couple of days running, those 400 crystals, that's 350 refreshes on regular energy and fleet energy and 1 refresh on canteen energy by itself.
Right.
Once you can start doing that, you can start pouring resources into other things. Suddenly, the next Relic 5 or Relic 7 character you need isn't that far away because you can actually farm the gear and the characters effectively.
Well, this is tremendous, man. I really appreciate you showing this to us and kind of sharing your thought process and your strategy and game planning and your spreadsheeting. So,
well, you joke, but because I have those spreadsheets, I can say I want to go for this team, say the Maldalorians, which I was working on before Leviathan was announced because of the crate raid, and I had stacked almost enough gear to take the entire team to Relic 8. None of them are currently. I think one of them is Relic 1, and that's it. Everything else is less than even Gear 13. But I had just sat there quietly stacking gear until I was ready to pull the trigger on them, which meant that when Leviathan was announced, I just didn't pull the trigger, which meant I had all this gear stacked, all these relic materials stacked. So that when the announcement for Leviathan came out and what was required, I was able to slap relics on characters like Maul, Sith Empire Trooper, get Basti to Relic 7, all of that. I could do that instantly because I had all that stuff stacked up.
Yeah, and I wasn't joking. I was actually saying thanks for sharing all this stuff with us. So let me ask you this, and just one last comment. What kind of advice, what would be the number one thing you might share with somebody that's getting started or maybe wants to pivot to this kind of strategy or really start thinking about, kind of hoarding and tracking it and making sure they're ready for the next big thing?
Fleet crystals is everything. That's my advice. It is the most consistent source of the best universal currency in the game. Get good with fleets. Get into a fleet shard if you have one, and if there isn't a fleet shard chat, build one. Most people aren't assholes.
Okay, I gotta beat that out. Thank you.
Sorry, I do apologize. Most people are friendly.
Well, there you go, Godeskian dropping big news. Hey, man, this is awesome. I really appreciate this. This is definitely a unique roster, and I appreciate your perspective, and thanks for sharing it with us.
Always happy to help.
All right, everybody out there, hope you enjoyed this, especially you free-to-players. This can give you some hope and maybe give you some ideas for your future farms as you move forward in the game. I agree with Gode here, man. The more you can hoard as a free-to-play player and wait for the next thing to come, the better off you're going to be in the long run. So, hey, everybody, thanks for joining in today. I appreciate all of you. I will see you soon, and of course, always remember, Nooch Too Good.